In studio, Mick Foley. This is the Opie and Anthony Show, but first we got Troy, a black guy from Brooklyn. He wants to defend Steve Harvey. Go ahead, Troy.
Yes, I want to beat you guys in your head because you guys are Steve Harvey haters. You guys ain't funny. I've been listening to you guys for a long time now because I'm a truck driver on the road. And I tune into you guys, but I never found you guys to be funny.
Thank God on the road.
All right, here's the problem with your statement, Troy. You said, I've been listening to you guys for a really long time.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have moved on by now if you didn't think we were funny.
No, I just like listening to you guys, but you guys ain't funny.
Like listening, but we're not funny.
Oh, we're not funny. All right, well, what can I tell you?
As long as you're listening, that's good.
So why do you like listening to us if you don't think we're funny? Because I think the number one thing we try to do every day is get a few laughs going.
Oh, right, that is true. But
So if you're not finding the laughs, why would you continue listening?
Because I'm addicted to you guys, but you guys ain't funny.
I don't get this.
I like it.
Hey, Troy, honestly, I respect your opinion, but once again, if you don't find us funny, and that's the number one thing we're trying to do every morning, why do you listen? Like, what is it about the show you like?
No, when I'm driving this big old rig down the road and I tune into you guys, you know what I mean? I just keep focused and I go in and I listen to you guys. But you guys ain't funny.
Oh, it's good for him to just, like, pay attention to the road and driving, too.
It's not that unusual. I've actually got a lot of longtime fans who love me and think I suck. So
yeah, that's true.
I'll be listening to you guys since you guys are the new, those couples come to New York and do the crap on the church.
Wait, did you think the Steve Harvey bit was funny, though? Did you think Steve Harvey's country news bit was funny?
He cool because I love his inspiration in the morning, and I'm a Christian, and I'm a Jesus, everything.
Hey, you know, you're talking to a few Christians right here,
Absolutely.
by the way.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
But he doesn't find Steve Harvey funny either, right? I don't think he's funny.
He cool.
All right. All right, Troy.
Here's the thing.
All right.
I love Opie imitation of Howard Stern.
That would be Anthony.
Right.
Anthony does the impressions for the most part.
Right.
Thank you,
Hey,
my
Troy,
friend.
you got a little assignment. When you listen to the show and you hear us being funny for the first time, I want you to call and go, now that was funny.
All right, I will do that.
That's your job now, okay?
Right.
Hey, I want a sticker for Flip Him Out Wednesday.
This guy's a riot. All right, Troy. Get back to driving that truck of yours, okay?
Look for those FOW bumper stickers.
Yeah,
there.
right?
Flip them
I
out.
will do that, buddy. And when you guys get funny, I will call you.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
There goes Troy.
I don't think we'll be getting a call from him.
We got Mick Foley in studio. He has just written his third autobiography. His third.
Man.
What is left to say there, Mick? What is going on?
You know, there's actually a lot left to say. It was Vince who convinced me that the world needed one of these.
Right.
You know, I thought he was just being nice to me on the plane. He's like, "Hey, pal, you ought to think about writing another autobiography." I said, "Yeah, that's just what the world needs, Vince. A third volume."
Are you getting to the point where you've just decided to start admitting things that aren't true? Like, I'll tell them.
Let me write
You know,
this.
the truth is, you know, you operate within this world. It's like this surreal world. If you've ever seen the backstage area, and Vince McMahon is like, you know, you couldn't come up with a guy like that in a science fiction movie.
Right.
You know? So you can just take people, in this case, on like a 6-week journey behind the scenes. I had an idea. I thought it'd be the greatest idea of my career. That's it. I'll just write it like it's a diary. Follow this idea, you know, throughout the course. And you know.
Oh, so the book is about you backstage at
Backstage,
WWE?
going through, getting ready for what I thought would be the greatest idea of my life.
Pitching storylines and stuff.
Exactly.
And how it plays out.
Yeah, and when it was obvious that things were not going to turn out like I wanted them to, I also realized that, hey, actually, I guess it makes for a better book if you, have a disaster on your hands. It's like nobody went to see the Titanic because it was a good cruise, right? You know, I mean,
Sure.
A disaster, and Vince said, "Hey, pal, how's that book coming?" And he had told me when I agreed to write it, he says, "No, I want you to be brutally honest." I said, "Well, Vince, you know the way I am. I said, I kind of want to be upbeat and optimistic." He goes, "You can be upbeat, but I want you to hammer people." So a couple,
good Vince, by the
not
way.
bad, right? I'm not an Anthony voice guy, but not bad. A couple weeks into it, when it was obvious things were not working out like I wanted, he said, "How's that book, pal?" I said, "Well, Vince, I've got good news and bad news." He goes, "Okay, let me hear it." I said, "Well, the good news is I definitely hammer somebody. He says, oh, that's what I like to hear. The bad news? I said, the guy I hammer is you. He went, oh. He doesn't care. You know, I mean, there's even a thing in there when I was talking about Vince, you know, making fun of JR when JR had the colon surgery, and it was like one of those things like when I was watching it when Vince was Dr. Heine, you know, and he was, you know, and he had Nurse Slobberknockers, you know, and Vince was essentially, you know, pulling out objects from, you know, what was supposedly JR's crevice, his anal cavity. And at first it was kind of funny. It was like an Oklahoma, you know, football helmet being pulled out and go, you know. But by the time he pulled like the 12th or 13th object out, it was like the guys were like just kind of looking at the floor like, oh, I can't believe I work for this maniac. And so I wrote in the book somewhere in there, you know, hey, Vince, you know, colon surgery is not really that funny. And as a matter of fact, I only know one person who found it amusing, you. And when it came to WWE Legal, once they realized, you know, geez, this book is kind of critical of WWE, they brought certain passages to Vince, and you can picture lawyers hovering over his shoulder.
Stupid lawyers.
We were waiting, because Vince has got a temper, you know. I mean, he's been known to erupt from time to time, but in this case, he read that, and he went, oh, that was funny. So, you know, I actually, the only thing that got mad about me is that I thought, hey, this is a, you know, granted, I'm kind enough to point out his faults throughout the book, but the fact that he let me write it and didn't censor it was something I really admired. So I went to him and I said, Vince, you know, I dedicated this book to you, and that's the only time he got mad. He said, oh, why'd you have to do that? You know, so he was offended by the fact I dedicated the book to him.
He is one of a kind. I think we're talking to him tomorrow. WrestleMania is right around the corner, so.
Over the years, he's just been great. I was just thumbing through the book, and a lot of pictures, which is good.
Yeah,
good pictures, I like a lot of good pictures, some of the old-time pictures of you. And there's one of Vince with his pants pulled down and just bare-assed, and you are about to kiss his ass.
Yes.
I remember that storyline.
Not a high point in my career because, as you remember, I was trying to save Melina's job.
Right.
She was a young lady I was very fond of. And,
explain that storyline. I mean, you would have to kiss
Vince came in. He was having a bad day, so the way Vince is, he would take it out on somebody who had nothing to do with it, you know. And honestly, he got so irate, and I'm not trying to make this up. And I said, "Hey, Vince," and he went, "You just called me Vince." And I'm thinking, I've been calling this guy Vince for 15 years or 10 years. Like, what am I? I didn't realize he was talking about calling him Mr. McMahon, you know. So he was so into it that I was like, what is he getting to, you know? And his key line was, "Oh yeah, you better, you know, I have a special club, and if you don't join that club, somebody's getting fired." And so I went out and I said, "Vince, look, I don't know if you're aware of this, but you know, I've saved a lot of money on clothes over the years. You know, I don't get many haircuts. I drive a used minivan. I don't need you or your stupid job." And then he said, "No, Mick, you don't understand. I didn't say you were getting fired. I said someone's getting fired." I said, "I'm going to fire your friend Melina." And then she breaks out in tears. Like, it's this weird world where, like, you kind of know what's happening, but I'm not expecting her to start crying. And she's going, "I'm not worth it, Mick. Don't do it." And then I gave this impassioned speech that my wife got really hot about, because in what was our biggest, you know, sticking point ever, I called my wife when she was on a cruise, and this is after I talked to Melina exactly twice. You know, I was kind of impressed by her, and I was like, "Colette, you know what? You know that girl I mentioned, Melina? You know?" And she goes, "Yeah, I think so. The WWE girl." I said, "Yeah. What do you think about her being Huey's godmother?" And
oh my God,
dead silence. Like, I was like, "No, but honestly, I had this vision from God, and just thought that would make sense."
No.
So apparently, I ruined the cruise, and and my wife was not that fun. I thought, well, if I'm just with this girl on TV, people are going to think I'm hitting on her, because that's what, you know, guys do, wrestlers on TV. And I thought, you know what? In order to make my wife look good, I'll let people know that, you know, that's not the way I feel about her. So I said on TV, you know, I'd only talked to you twice when I asked my wife if you could be my son Huey's godmother. I'd never mentioned my wife. Cut that idea down.
Saying, "What are you, insane?"
Yeah, exactly. And so I went for the big kiss, and then I got fired anyway.
Kiss my ass.
And then he would just drop his pants, and you had to kiss his bare ass.
You're fired.
He's amazing.
I remember one of the great things he said was he went up to me and he said, Mick, and this is on air. He might feel the same way in private as well. He goes, you know what? As a human being, you may not be bad, but as a businessman, you suck. He got like the Hebrew K's in there.
Here's some of my favorites.
You're fired. You're fired.
Get on your hands and knees like a dog. That's it. Crawl around like a dog.
It's too much, man.
You know, he's not that good of an actor. There's some realism.
Some rage in there.
There's some realism in those clips. He really gets
I
off
asked, you
saying that stuff.
you remember the infamous Bob Costas interview?
Oh, yeah.
Where he went off on Bob Costas.
Leaned right into his face.
Yeah, I mean, and Costas thought he was going to kill him. And I said in the second book, not that I'm here to plug my second book, I'm here to plug the current book, The Hardcore Diaries.
Yeah.
And I said it was weird because, like, if this was 1996 and I was talking with, you guys or like a weather station, they would insist on us being in character. So I'd be here going, "Oh, tell you something, Opie, it's a nice day out," and I'd sound like a jerk.
Yeah.
It's no wonder that people are like, "Oh, I don't want those stupid wrestlers on the show." And so I said in the book that it's ironic that the guy, talking about Vince, who made it acceptable for guys like me to be ourselves on mainstream shows, is the only guy who feels compelled to become his wrestling character when the light is on. And so I asked Vince, I said, "Man," I said, "can I ask you something?" He said, "Sure." I said, "Were you in character on the Costas show?" And he looked at me and he said, "I don't know." Like he lives in this never world,
He doesn't know what's real anymore.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know if he's in character or not. You know? And I'll tell you one thing from the book. And not that I'm here to plug the book, The Hardcore Diaries, but
no, you wouldn't do that.
I kind
You're
of
just a hangman.
I would love to come back just to hang, to prove. Hey, and you know that I was looking for you guys, right?
Yes.
Going out of my way to give you a call back when
we found out who our real friends were when we got fired, and we had to sit out for 2.5 years. Mick Foley was one of a few, just a few that actually called to make sure we were all right. And
it was everybody else that was sitting out for 2.5 years.
I did, man. I called my old publicist. Like, can I get a message to those guys? Can I call them and let them know that
was beyond cool? Actually,
we feel for them. Well, thank you. So you know, I'm not just here for the plug. I would love to come back on a more regular basis, but in this case. I kind of went out when it was charting the ECW one-night stand idea I had, and when it wasn't panning out like I thought it would, I became, a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, and I'm like, I think you guys are trying to tank this pay-per-view on purpose, and that's a hell of a thing to say to Vince, and I kind of I didn't put it that. That boldly. I said, "Vince, we do want this thing to be successful, don't we?" And he looked at me and he goes, "Mick, I may not be a good person, but I'm always a good businessman." And I shook his hand and I said, "Vince," I said, "I think you're wrong." I said, "I think you are a good person." And it was amazing. My nose grew like 8 inches immediately. That's in the book. But I remember that. There's these little moments of this side to Vince that people don't see. And, whether you hate him or think he's a great guy, wrestlers have come to the conclusion that no matter who gets together or how long it takes, eventually we'll start telling stories about Vince and laughing uproariously. So he's one of a kind.
When he said I'm a good businessman, did you bring up XFL? That would have that might have knocked him down a couple of pegs.
Hey, we believed.
I'm sure he'd like to fire off that Men in Black flashlight thing in people's faces for that one. Don't remember a thing.
I called the office one day. Can I talk to Vince? No, Vince is out of the office. Oh, what's he doing? He's starting a football league. It started like the next week. It wasn't like there's a lot of long-term planning in here.
How much work could it take?
The biggest problem with the XFL, we were involved, obviously, was trying to get people to sit in Giant Stadium in the middle of January, early February. Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah,
this is the middle of winter.
And I don't know, in retrospect, if bragging about how little money the guys made was the big draw, you know? And it's like, man, if you see guys who are earning less than your plumber, you know, you need to make that January journey to Giant Stadium to see him in action.
But you know something? When all is said and done, the NFL wound up picking up a few of the things that Vince was doing, like those camera views.
Yeah, definitely.
Started
on
with
the
XFL,
field was really like the camera was right there on the field.
Now, the deal with the NFL actually has that, you know, very complicated wiring system where the camera is, you know, behind the huddle, whereas XFL had a guy on the field
with pads on, holding a goddamn camera. Remember the Steadicam guys? They'd be dressed like gladiators going out there going, I'm screwed.
How the hell you get that gig?
Right in the middle of the action.
On the sideline, they had a camera guy running down.
Who'd you piss off to get that gig?
All right, put on the pads. You're going in. I'm a cameraman. What the hell are you doing to me?
Yeah, he's nuts. Let's take a few calls before we got to move over to XM. It's Fat Jack from the Bronx. Fat Jack.
Yeah, what's up, man? How you guys doing?
What's up?
I love your freaking show, man. You guys are hilarious.
Well, some people don't think
Mr. Fat Jack.
Steve Harvey, I'm black. Steve Harvey is an ass.
All right, thank you.
Mick Foley, I love you, man. You're my favorite wrestler, man. You guys have to say, oh, hey, man, I love you guys, man.
Well, you know something? Mick might be your favorite wrestler, but did you name your dog after Mick Foley?
Hell no.
Well, our own Sam named his dog after Mick Foley. I just learned this.
Is that true?
Look at how red he's turning. Aww. Look at that.
Thank you,
Sam,
Fat Jack.
All right, man.
Big fan of Mr. Foley?
I am, and it's true.
What's the dog's name?
Mick.
All right, well, no, don't laugh. It could have been Mankind. It could have been a million different things. Huh?
Dude Love.
Dude Love. That was
there
it.
you go.
Dude Love.
Now, let me ask you something seriously. You have a dog named Mick.
Yes.
Male dog.
Yeah.
When he starts doing that thing that dogs do you say, that a boy, Mick? Oh, Mick.
He's been fixed.
You got a question for your hero?
No.
Come on.
Ask him anything.
I got to interview my heroes. Ask him a little bit.
Ask him how large he is down there.
I wouldn't feel right doing that,
No.
Why? Look him in the eye and just ask.
Do you reenact scenes with the dog from wrestling?
No.
Do you get some peanut butter and swipe it and then go, now kiss my ass?
No, I don't do that either.
Honestly, give me a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Come on. I got a lot of diva information.
By the way,
they believe it's Than and Sam show, a Sam and Than show, however it works. And you guys are now interviewing Mick Foley.
what would you ask him?
What would you ask him?
It's right in front of you.
I would ask him...
Oh, boy.
Well, this is great radio.
Where do you think the new direction of ECW is going?
What a stupid question.
Oh, my God. Is that an awful, awful question?
You know, I'll tell you this. I think it's good that they have a direction. You know, it's like the ECW originals against the new breed. And I made a single comment, and apparently it's gotten around our dressing room, where JR had been interviewing me for the WWE website and asked me about the Molina thing and why they didn't follow up on it. And we speculated it might be because Vince McMahon just couldn't conceive, you know, he just couldn't buy into a concept where a man and a woman were friends. Like, that's like, you know, what is the point to a guy like Vince? And so I used to throwing the word platonic around. And then JR asked me about, you know, ECW. And I said, there's some good things. I liked that, you know, you couldn't just make it a nostalgia show. I liked the originals versus the new breed. And I said, I got to tell you, I like that vampire girl, Ariel, in a weird, non-platonic way. That's all I said, and all of a sudden when I show up in the dressing room, it's like, oh, Mick likes the vampire chick.
Of course he does, yeah.
All right, listen, that's our music. We have to get out of here. What are we promoting today, Mick?
We're
Fan
promoting
Access
Fan
today.
Access. That's right. It's going on all day, but I'll be there at the South Street Streetport from 5 to 7, signing anything you want, but including copies of the Hardcore Diaries, my new book, which is number 7 on the New York Times bestseller list.
Nice.
How many books you got out? This is your 4th?
No, well, this is my 5th real book. You know, I wrote a couple novels that people chose not to read, and a 3rd memoir, and then a few children's books.
I read your first 2, and I loved your books. You're a very good writer.
Appreciate it.
And then I didn't read the others for whatever reason, which is kind of sad because I really did enjoy the first 2.
Well, take a look at this. You can just go chapter by chapter. There's some pretty cool stories there. Meeting Batman is a good story.
Okay.
For example.
The Hardcore Diaries by our friend Mick Foley. If you want to join us over at XM and hang, but you're on a media tour, you got to go.
You know, if it is at all possible, I will be there.
What?
It doesn't sound like a genuine invitation, though. Well, you can join us, but I know you're really busy.
Wait,
probably got a lot of...
They're telling us you got to go. Is that old gag?
You're more than welcome.
If I can, I will. If not, I appreciate the chance to talk to you guys and hope to do it again soon.
All right, very good. Mick Foley, everyone. We're off to XM. Jimmy, you're off to Providence.
Rhode Island tonight, Saugus tomorrow, Boston Friday, Saturday.
All right, guys.
One thing I want to find out is Sam has made paintings of Mick. That's all it says. I want to find out about this.
Wait, what?
Sam has made paintings.
We had art classes in high school.
Oh,
Did you bring one in for him to sign?
No.
See,
They're big.
You still have them.
Yeah.
You painted Mick Foley.
My mom hung them up on the wall.
Oh, thank God.
She hung them up.
Yeah.
Did she hang them up well?
They're very well.
Indeed, are they well hung?
Yeah, he wants you to ask him.
Look how embarrassed he is. His normally red, rosy cheeks are even redder.
He wants you to ask him the hung question.
How are you hung, Mick?
I've never been asked that before in my life.
Why would you do that,
Sam? You're supposed to be a professional, Sam.
Kidding you.
Professional.
We want celebrities to come by for interviews. Why would you do that?
It's beneath me.
I don't know.
I hope so.
Jeez.
All right, we got to go. If you're not joining us over at XM, have a great day. Get us out of here.
Prepare to be wow.
And here we are at XM Satellite Radio. I guess Mick Foley doesn't take a hint. we must be really good actors or something. I don't know what's going on.
Come on over, Mick. And I detected just the slightest hint of disingenuousness. Did I get that word right? Disingenuineness.
You're asking the wrong
But I
person.
thought, hey, hell, they've got a hell of a big audience. I don't care if they don't want me there. I'm going to plug my book a couple times before I take off.
No.
Yeah, it's there somewhere. Yeah, Hardcore Diaries.
When we first met Mick Foley, Anthony and I were definitely into the wrestling thing. We did a lot with the WWF when it was called the WWF, to the point where, Vince McMahon invited us to do the pregame for the XFL. So we had a really good relationship with you guys. But what I liked about you was you could just hang. A lot of the guys we interviewed, it was wrestling or nothing.
Yes.
And then we would get the business out of the way with you, and then you would just hang and tell some great stories and just have a really good time on our show. So, of course, we want you over here, Mick.
I appreciate that.
Hey, we got to say hi to Happy Typing Girl. It's her birthday today. Got to acknowledge Happy Typing Girl's birthday.
As you said that, I was thinking of her probably about a minute ago.
Really?
Wow, what creepy timing that is. Yeah,
That is creepy, but it's her birthday, and she's an Uber fan, Mick. She does so much for us, it's not even funny. She is one of the greatest.
It's her birthday?
It's her birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Waiting for my camera stuff to download so I could... I actually got a new computer here, right here.
Yeah?
New computer, new Pal Talk been downloaded, and I got to download the camera drivers, and then we'll all be on camera again. Everything will be fine like it was.
I got an observation. Sam, why are you still filming him?
Wow.
We don't need this much film of Mick Foley.
Well, you need every angle so you can make a sculpture? Is it going to be like Lionel Richie's Hello video?
One of my responsibilities here is to film big celebrities we get in so I can later...
You've been filming him for over an hour.
But you need a good amount of footage to condense it down to a really strong 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
How about I just give you a strong 2 to 3 minutes now, and
and then you put the fucking camera down.
You're making this sound creepier than it is.
No, it's creepy.
By the way, Mick, you should get to know your fan here, young Sam. We have an observation that Steve brought to the table.
Why?
We are convinced that his skull is filled with candy.
Because such a sweet-looking boy has to have a head full of candy.
No.
I'm sure you like candy, right?
We twist his ear and we pull on his jaw. There's got to be a mechanism to get it out.
That releases
we
the
smack
candy.
him on the back of his head, but we haven't found the way to get the candy out yet.
There's no way to get the candy. There's no candy in my head.
Are you sure, though?
Yes,
Iraq,
of
get
course
some
I'm
candy
sure.
out of his head, Iraq.
No, you're right.
No, Steve does it.
Steve,
this is Steve.
candy.
Watch. He taps the back of his head. No candy falls out of the
Come on, a
mouth.
jujube,
Doesn't make
a
sense.
milk dud, something.
Yeah, just give up
Squeeze
one.
his nose.
Just give up one.
Oh, you got a little mucus.
Makes sense. It's
Just give up
barley
one
food.
piece of candy for Mick Foley, for your hero.
I don't have any candy.
There's no candy in your head.
Why are the cheeks so rosy?
It doesn't make any sense.
All right, what do you got, Steve? Any new ways to get the candy out?
Well, I'm really going along with my bone saw theory.
You just want to saw the top of his head off?
I just want to saw the top of his head off and put a hinge on the back and open it like a candy dish.
I don't understand why this theory has lasted longer than a week.
Because it's true, and you're a stingy candy-hoarding little boy.
All right, we got Schwoogie on the line.
Big fan.
Schwoogie.
Hey, Bubba boys. Good morning.
Hey, man.
Mick, got a question for you.
Yes.
And knowing you, you'll be honest in this.
Okay.
WWE over the last few months has done very well.
Yes.
Getting some interest back, some very good storylines. Ratings are up.
I agree.
In your opinion, how much of this is because Triple H is out and not really controlling things?
You know what? I think, honestly, the Triple H thing with DX was great and did get the ball rolling. And I think what you will see is that when he comes back, he'll probably be, hotter than ever. I don't mean physically, like, oh, Triple H is hot. I mean his career. Let me just clarify. And I think, it did wonders for Shawn Michaels because it gave him a chance to do some, like, lighthearted comedy and then establish himself once again as a serious main event guy. So, no, I don't think that had anything to do with it.
But you don't think the fact that, it's the stories are legendary.
You're apparently not going with my answer.
Yeah, he really wants you to change your answer to yes.
I got to give a little back history here. I remember now Schwoogie is obsessed with Triple H controlling the WWE. Because of his involvement with Vince's daughter. Well, they're married now.
Look,
and have a kid, right?
Yes. Well, yes. Not on camera. It's funny because everybody knows it's true.
Right.
And Triple H will, like, wink at it. They'll be like, I don't know who that father is, but he's got to be hung like it. And then they'll cut him off. And the crowd laughs along. Like it's a joke that everybody's in on, but they won't reveal it on camera. It's one of those weird things. Like, you can have make-believe, children on our show. Married couples who aren't really married, but here is a couple that is married, and they will not admit it. I imagine they will somewhere down the line. All right, did I evade that question?
That's good. Thanks, guys.
All right, okay.
All right, Schwoogie.
Yeah, he calls all the time and just has nothing nice to say about Triple H, man.
We love Triple H, actually. He gave a girl the best spanking we've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
A girl I even remember her name and everything. Peaches.
Didn't she get brought in by...
This was before he was married.
Before he was married to Vince's daughter.
You know what? This gives me... You guys are on XM, right?
Yeah.
I can curse.
No
I don't curse, right?
What's your favorite curse, by the way? We know your favorite holiday is Christmas.
Yes.
So.
Well, you know what I find is that, like, when it comes to curse words, it reminds me of a story about Jack Nicholson, not Nicholas, because there's a story about me meeting Jack Nicklaus, the golfer. That's not the guy I'm talking about, Jack Nicholson. And it was in England after Batman had wrapped, and they were at the post-Batman party, and a girl came up to him, and said, Mr. Nicholson, care to dance? And he looked at her and he said, wrong verb. And I thought, man, well, that's great. So my idea, when you use the big word, the curse word, like so many of the wrestlers use it as like an empty, adjective. Like, all right, I shot him into the effing ropes and I hit him with the big effing foot. I dropped the effing elbow on him. I'm a firm believer that when you pop that word, use that word, you use it as a strong action verb and you use it sparingly. So therefore, when I use it once in a while in the Foley bedroom, it carries considerable weight. But I will curse for you guys in just a second, all right? But keep talking as I try to find this story.
Well, I want to let Jimmy know his favorite holiday is Christmas, and you still have a room in your house that's always Christmas all the time?
I do, yeah.
Aren't the kids starting to look at you like, come on, Dad, this is lame. We're teenagers now,
They've been looking at me like that for a long time. But it was supposed to be my sanctuary. It's like where I wrote most of this book, and it's supposed to be my room. At one point, I'd even lock it when I left.
What do you have in the Christmas room, though?
I've got some nice framed Santa Claus artwork.
Do you have Santa Claus tied up in there?
But I would like to be Santa
Christmas
Claus
lights.
one day. I would,
You can pull that off.
I've got, you could see that, right?
You're jolly.
Yeah. I'm actually going to, now that the heat is off the French a little bit, I'm going to pick up some French, so about 10, 15 years from now, I can be Santa at Santa's Village in Jefferson, New Hampshire. That's not a joke, by the way. That is my life's ambition.
Is this?
Yeah, so I've got this. I've got the
still
room.
has goals. I like that.
But it's become like the all-purpose. How do you tell your 5-year-old he can't play his video games in there? And how do you tell the 4-year-old he can't do his artwork and play with his action figures? The only problem is my 4- and 6-year-old are under the impression that I sucked as a wrestler. Like, they can't conceive, they see guys like Batista and Triple H, and they can't conceive how a guy who looks like me could hang with them.
No.
And And I finally, I was like telling my wife, I was like, this is starting to hurt me a little bit. They've got the action figure, they've got me on the video game, so I said, I'm going to go downstairs, I'm going to prove it. Because I remember when I won the title from The Rock at the end of '98, that my older kids, who are now 13 and 15, they were literally dancing around the room. They were so happy, and then I pulled the belt out, and they had the belt. So I figured this is going to be the same thing, just 8, 9 years later. And I put on the DVD, me, battling The Rock, and my kids start cheering for The Rock. And like they don't, they haven't conceived the idea that wrestling, it's not an out-and-out, mortal struggle for life. And so I'm like, my kids want me to get hurt. And even then after that, I thought, okay, I'll show them the match with Triple H from the Garden. And my 4-year-old's going, I want Triple A to win. I want Triple A to win. How depressing.
Wow.
That is really sad.
Those are sad stories.
I know.
Mick.
All right, can I drop the F word on you guys?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let me just give you a little background, okay? I'm at a show. And
by the way, you have to go, so you...
No, I do, okay.
Your guy's he's freaking out.
I'm going to drop one F-bomb, and then I'll be out of here.
Let him drop his F-bomb,
and
F-bomb. Get him out of here.
I want to meet Batman, who's at a science fiction convention, but I'm getting worried because the fans are coming back, and they're hanging their head down, and they're like, oh, Batman's being a dick. He won't look up when he signs. He won't sign stuff that
Which
Robin
Batman
signs.
is this?
This is Adam West.
Okay.
Because apparently, Burt Ward wrote kind of an expose that made West come off a little bit bad. And I thought, man, my kids love Batman. Like, I wanted to get something signed, and I wanted to show them that I wrote something cool about him and Have a Nice Day. And so, okay, just trying to find it. Okay, there it is, okay. So as I get to the line, I'm really worried. Like, if he makes me look bad, it'll be like trying to watch Hogan's Heroes after you find out that Bob Crane was a porn addict, or watching a Knicks game when you know that Marv Albert had that clothing fetish, girl's clothing fetish, or watching Dancing with the Stars when you know that Stacy was intimate with Test. And I'm worried about that happening, And as I get up there, fortunately, Adam West's manager goes, wow, Mick, you sold quite a few copies of that book. And I was like, yeah, I did. He's like, Adam, this is Mick Foley. He's written a couple bestsellers. And yes, sir, Mr. West. And I'd like to show you a little something that's in there about you and the effect you had not only on me and my children. And he starts reading it. And he's reading it out loud. And he's not giving me any feedback. And I'm like, man, I'm looking for feedback from Adam West. When he finishes his thing, he's rifling through the book, and he goes to the front page. If you remember, Have a Nice Day had that unique opening. And here's Batman. You have to remember the voice, right? He goes, I can't believe I lost my fucking ear. Batman, reading my book. And then he turns to me and he says, got a very dynamic writing style. Captures the reader right away. And then he signed it for no charge. He signed his autobiography. And while the rest of the guys were walking around, they're like going, oh, Batman's a dick. I walked away. I was like, Batman rules. Yeah, so, all right, listen, I have to go.
Where are you going?
I have to go
TV?
do some of these. I tried telling them.
I saw you earlier. I saw you on TV behind
on the
Opie
CW
earlier.
show.
I'm like, hey, look, there's Mick.
I mean, I'm doing the math in the car, and I'm like, okay, all these other stations combined add up to about a tenth of O&A's audience. Can't we just stay there?
We'll just do one.
But apparently that's not in the cards, so I got to run around and talk to
guys
Sheboygan. He is panicking.
Blackberry and everything.
Right.
Well, we'll be a few minutes late.
Get out there, pick up the Hardcore Diaries by Mick Foley on the bestseller list.
It is, yeah,
great.
Cool.
A lot of nice pictures in here too. I love the pictures.
Nice one, Candace. A couple nice Melina photos.
Yeah, Opie said before your writing style is really good.
Appreciate it.
No, I enjoyed 2 of your books. I only read 2, so it wasn't like the other ones I didn't. I just didn't read yet.
Okay, rifle through this when you have a chance.
I was on vacation, went through one of your books in a week. It was his
on
writing.
The beach, right?
Yeah, his writing was unbelievable, and you just wrote it all out longhand. You're just
I like the Foley family at Walt Disney World with your son over here making a face. That's hysterical.
He was in that period where that's all he ever did. Even when he took the school portraits, they're like, Mr. Foley,
he's going to pull you out of here.
We couldn't get your son to smile. He kept making it would be like his Power Rangers pose.
Yeah.
So his portrait is like, bam.
He's got his tongue out. That's hysterical.
All right, guys, I got to run. All right.
Mick,
thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you, Mick.
Thank you.
Are you on TV? Because our listeners will, turn us off to watch on TV for a little bit.
No,
take
they
a
don't
break
care.
from us.
But I have a major announcement to make the day after WrestleMania. So
what the hell is that?
Major announcement.
Wow, what a tease.
Why don't you give us the major announcement?
That would kind of ruin it for the rest of the audience.
Who cares?
Who cares?
How about a hint? Huh?
It involves Vince's ass.
Ew.
That's all you need to know.
All right, there you go.
Vince and Vince's ass.
There you go. Mick Foley, everyone. Very cool.
One of the good ones, Mick.
He's a nice fella.
He is.
Otto's here.